Let's go to the next one, and the next one is quality time. I really enjoyed doing the first one, words of affirmation, and I'm excited to do this one. So, let's go straight into defining what quality time is. Quality time is about uninterrupted time together. I like saying this, underline this word. And it would be nice to take notes so that you remember to do, not just to hear, but to do. It'll help if you write it, if you get a notebook or your journal, you write down notes, especially for your love language and your spouse's love language, so that, and for those of us who are single, we write all of them because you never know what your spouse will be. So it would be nice to always go back to remember these love languages, because they'll just do something amazing in your marriage. Okay, and let me not talk too much and let me just go straight to the point. So as I said, quality time is about uninterrupted time together. Uninterrupted time together. Uninterrupted time together basically means no distractions. So in like the same way words of affirmation had different types, quality time has two types. So the first one is quality conversation, and then there's quality activities. So I'm going to start with quality conversation. This is about hearing and not necessarily words. I like to emphasize on some things, so if you forget, there are some things you will remember. So it's more, you remember words of affirmation, I kept insisting it's words, 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 words. WORDS. Now, when it comes to quality time, it's about hearing, HEARING. Hearing, and not necessarily about words. But as I said before, actions and words go together, so words and actions go together, but the emphasis is hearing, okay? So as I also even said here, yes, words are vital, but the most important thing here is hearing. So if you are, this is how you'll know your quality time and your spouse is or will be quality time. And quality conversation, sorry. They want you, when you come home or when you go to a restaurant, they don't want you scrolling on your phone, unless in situations where you're doing important work messages or something. No, there are some things that come that are important. I understand, don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about those things where you go to restaurants today and you just find people scrolling. So they're scrolling through social media. They are scrolling through social media, and yet they're with their partner in a restaurant. So there's barely any conversation. They're almost on their phone the whole time. So they don't want, so that's why I said uninterrupted time together. So you come home from work and then you bring your work home. I know you know what I mean. So instead of sitting down and having a conversation together, you're on your computer, you're on your laptop, you're on your phone, right? Or you're in a restaurant again and you're just face down using your phone. So when someone is quality time, quality conversation, they want you to sit down, put off the TV, put your phone on silent or don't disturb, and just listen to what they have to say. Someone who is quality conversation is very deep, because they'll want to give you a very, very, very good picture of how their day went. And especially as women, we can even tell you what they were wearing, how they reacted. Sometimes we go off topic, but that's not where I'm going. I'm just talking about someone who wants to come and have a deep conversation with you. But now, instead of listening to them, you're distracted by what's happening on TV. You make them feel irrelevant. They're just a painting on a wall. They have no relevance to you. They just want you to hear them out. So I'll give an example that I read in the book. There was this husband, and I may mix because I've read a lot, I may mix stories, but it'll still make sense. So there's this husband who would come home, and the wife always would complain about her boss. It was either her boss or the people she worked with at work. So when she would complain, he was hearing more to give a solution than hearing her out. I know you understand what I mean. Hearing to give a solution as opposed to hearing what she was saying. So even before she could finish her complaining, he would give his input by giving advice on how she would deal with that situation when she goes back to work the next day. So when she'd come back from work the next day, the script was the same. Complaining about the same people and the same issue. And then he would be like, did you do what I asked you? Did you say what I asked you to say? She said no. So he would give the advice again just in case she didn't hear. So she'd go to work, come back the next day and complain about the same exact thing, same exact people. So he got to a place he got irritated and said, if you're not going to do what I told you to, if you're not going to say what I told you to say and do what I told you to do, I don't want to hear anything from you about your workplace until you actually do what I've told you. So now that really brought she felt unloved. That's the best way I can put it. To the point they got divorced because she didn't feel like her husband was supportive, her husband was loving, only to realize because he went into counseling with Gary Chapman when it was too late, and he realized her love language was quality time, quality conversation, and all she wanted was for him to hear her out, just to complain, vent, talk about her day at work. And then I've also jotted down that if you're going to give advice, it should only be if the person asks. And I know as men, you all are ready to give solutions, and you're coming from a place of love, but you need to realize love languages is not about the way you know how to love or want to be loved, but it's about how they want to be loved. So all she needed was someone to hear her speak, uninterrupted. Don't interrupt with trying to give advice. Don't interrupt with trying to share. Oh, even me, when I would be in that situation, no, it's not about you. The good thing about someone who is quality time and good quality conversation, I can say that because this is me, is we'll give you your turn to speak, right? So when it's my turn to speak, let me speak. When there's a way you can enter the conversation, or if I ask for your opinion, that's when you bring it in. So I really want to emphasize on that. When it comes to quality conversation, there are few things. Don't be distracted. It would even be a beautiful thing if you actually put TikTok or Instagram or whatever you like aside, or your PS, or you put off the TV, you're not distracted with news, and listen to what your spouse has to say. Remember, you've been at work the whole day, the two of you, or you've been running your businesses, and you barely spoke during the day. You want to tell me you come home and you're not talking again because you're on your phone or you're watching TV? Think about that. Just think about that. It's a time you guys get to bond. So when your spouse is especially quality time and you don't, and quality conversation, because that's your mat, and you don't give them that time, remember they go to bed feeling unloved. They don't feel the love, because in many situations, couples, there's always one who feels like, you hear one spouse saying, me, I am loved. Me, I feel loved every single day. Then the other one feels unloved. Why? Because one is speaking the love language and the other is not. And sometimes, even many times actually, people speak or don't speak their love languages without knowing. So now that I'm enlightening you, just hear me out. When it comes to quality time, quality conversation, they want an uninterrupted time with you. Hear them out. Don't hear to, you're only picking a few things here and there so you can give a point. No. Hear them out. And I wrote in my notes, it's a plus if you remember the most important things. There's nothing as beautiful. I'm just imagining if I, as someone who likes quality time, quality conversation, I said something and then I'm talking. And my husband said, oh, you were talking about that thing you told me, da 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 da. Yo, that's, I love you back 10 times better. It's a big deal. So allow me to look down again to see if there's anything I should add on this. Oh, yes. And when you're doing quality time, quality conversation, they like eye contact. Not shifty eyes. Okay, sometimes I do that, but it depends if the person is making me uncomfortable. But they like eye contact. When you give someone eye contact, and I'm not saying you stare at them to the point you're not blinking, no. You're not looking around. Like if in your restaurant, you're not looking at, oh, who is coming in? Or where's the waiter? Where's the waitress? Or when you're at home, you're just shifting your eyes to see everything around you. Nah. I'm talking about eye contact. You're looking at them. It's like you're looking deep into their soul. They like that. Quality time conversation, quality conversation, people like that because it shows you're my main interest. I'm looking at you because you're my main interest. Nothing around me has taken my attention. Nothing around me matters. You matter to me. So eye contact is very good. And I know today very few people are good at giving eye contact. We are very shifty. It's like we have always something to hide. So people who are quality conversation like eye contact. And then you should realize such a spouse is actually an excellent listener. There are so many people who've told me things over the times and I can remind them what they told me. If you love them this way, my goodness, they'll remember a lot of important details about you. They'll remember. Most of the time they'll have to force themselves to forget, maybe because that situation upset them, but they're very good listeners. They're excellent. They'll give you the time. They're patient to hear what you have to say. They'll even encourage you to continue because that's what they desire back. They desire someone who is good at listening. And I'm not saying you have to remember each and every to the full stop. No, you'll know what's important to remember. And yes, this is important. Women tend to be quite open. We're open books. We can say a lot about ourselves. We can tell you everything about us, ourselves. By the time we are first year in our marriage, like almost 100. Not all. I'm not talking for every woman out there, but many, you can know everything about us in a year. But for men, sometimes it's hard to open up. So someone who is quality conversation want you to speak. They don't want you to be reserved, quiet, and not sharing about yourself. It's one thing to listen to someone who is quality conversation, but it's also another thing to also open up. You remember, the way they love you, the way they want to be loved is the way you love them. They just love it when you're open with them, because now they feel like you trust them. Even they go to bed thinking, my, he shared that with me, and I know it was hard for him to say it, but he trusts me. I love my husband so much that he could tell me such a thing. I know you get the point. I need to move on because I'll make this video long if I continue talking. I'm very passionate about quality time. Quality, the next one is quality activities. So quality activities is pretty simple. It's spending time together, doing activities your spouse likes. Like, I don't like football at all. I don't enjoy it. I don't watch it. But I just put myself in this scenario. If I get a husband who enjoys football because he loves it and I want to spend time with him, I'll go for a match. If he says, hey babe, I'm going to this match, I'll say, oh, I can join you if you'd like. And then if he's also quality time, for example, he'll feel loved because he knows I have 0% interest in the sport, but because I want to speak his language and I want to show him love by spending time with him in an activity he likes, he'll feel the love. So quality activities is spending time together, doing what your spouse likes doing, even though you yourself don't like it. And you see, when I spend time with him when it comes to football, we're able to talk a lot because now he'll maybe explain to me about the match, how the match goes, who are the players in the game, what are the rules of football, what excites him about football, when did he start watching football, what intrigued him, did he play it in school, did he play it as a kid, did his father like it too. You see, I get to know more about my husband because it can even go from talking about the activity to it brings up other stories that I wouldn't have gotten to know if we hadn't had this time together. So that's what quality activities is. It's not just about close proximity with someone. No, it's about having conversations even when you're doing these activities. Because let's say it's golf, you can still get to talk to each other when playing the sport. Let's say you go for a musical, you can enjoy moments and talk and whisper during the musical presentation. You whisper and say, oh, they're doing this. And then when you're going home, you have a lot to share. Your husband, if you're watching this video, I'm ready to like what you like. So guys, in the next video, I'll be sharing the other 3 love languages, or I'll do 2, like I've done 2, then 1 video, then the last love language, then I do if you've not yet gotten it, I'll show you how to gauge your love language or your spices by asking you questions. Then I talk about the love tank, which I'm really excited to talk about because I didn't talk about it in my previous video. Then again, I'll say if you have any questions in the comment section, and that's when I'll do a Q&A video. If you like my videos, like, share, subscribe. Until the next video, peace.